Aries rules selfhood, independence, but also the ego. Neptune dissolves the boundaries of that. Like, where do I end? Where does the other begin? That may not be as clear anymore. The question, what does it mean to be an individual, might be a question that is going to be asked in the collective. Where do personal desires end and collective needs begin? Or vice versa. I can also see an identity crisis here that runs deep in the collective, and it comes from the individual identity crisis, where we are not sure anymore what is right, what is wrong, masculine, feminine energy. There's going to be a dissolving of it, particularly with masculine energy, because Aries is the epitome of masculine energy. With Neptune in Pisces, we went through like a dissolving of feminine energy, but then also a re-emerging of the divine feminine energy. I don't know if you've noticed that. The beginning of Neptune in Pisces was the height of boss babe central. Right? Boss babe, I can do everything myself. I do things on my own. I do this, I do that. The end of Neptune in Pisces, the rise of like feminine energy, black cat energy. You could see the whole range of like, we went through this re-emergence, a new understanding of what does it mean to be in my feminine as a woman? And also how do I balance it with my masculine energy? Hello my lovelies, so welcome back. Now in today's video, I am going to talk about Neptune in Aries, and I'm going to talk about Neptune in Aries from a general perspective. What can we expect from 2025 to 2039 with Neptune in Aries? We're not going to go into everything because that would just make this video too extensive. I will have more videos as we go along. You know, we're going to talk about, of course, about the first big happening with Neptune in Aries, which is the conjunction with Saturn. And they're going to come very, very close already this year. Almost conjunct, but they will conjunct exactly in 2026. And we will talk about what this means, generally speaking, for the collective, but also for the individual, for each rising sign. Now, again, in this video, we're talking about the general overview. I have 5 points. I already made a little post about this, not so little actually, in the post section, so you can go there, or you can just go on my blog. It's probably easier to find that way. And then I will talk about the first six rising signs in this video. And then in the next video that will come out on Thursday, I will talk about the last 6 rising signs. So from Libra to Pisces. Now, what I'm going to do is the general forecast. I will add that to both videos. So I'll take today's general forecast and we'll also add it to the Thursday video. So everyone with the rising sign from Libra to Pisces rising doesn't have to come back to this video, listen to the general forecast, you know, just easier. It's just easier for you guys. So I want to really urge you not to skip this general forecast, because it is really important to understand the general forecast to then understand the implications for your area of life where it falls in. Before I get into the 5 points I have, I want to say we need to acknowledge how big this shift is. This is not just any old like change. This is a completion process. Neptune completed a cycle. Neptune completed a cycle. It completed something. Something in your life is done. Cycle completed. And now you got to get going again. A new cycle will begin. And from a collective point of view, it's going to be tremendous, but also from a personal point of view, it is quite tremendous. And on top of it, this all happens while we have Mercury and Venus retrograding over Neptune. So Neptune is shifting right after Venus and Mercury went retrograde over Neptune in Pisces. That's when the shift is occurring. So again, I mean, the magnitude of this, it's incredible. And then it's as if this wasn't enough already, we have a solar eclipse. We have the last solar eclipse in Aries with the North Node in Pisces. I mean, in the next 3-4 months, we might feel a little dissociated. We've probably already been feeling that all year, right? With that Neptune being in 29 degrees of Pisces, there is this completion, but also not feeling ready to fully complete on one end of the spectrum. It's like yes, but no, but yes, but no. And that feeling will continue and possibly intensify, because now we are like, we don't really know. It's like, okay, this is new, so it's exciting. So we have this feeling of, oh my God, possibilities, excitement, but at the same time also, oh my God, what's going on? Like literally, what's going on? And this will be reflected in the media to an extreme. Then also, I think the arts are going to blossom and bloom. I think art is going to be our saving grace in certain ways, right? It can, of course, also be used in a deceptive way, but I think you finding your creative outlet, whatever that may be, can help you utilize and also digest and integrate this new time, this initiation. I believe the most beautiful way to utilize Neptunian energy is, yes, of course, your spirituality, you being really connected to your innate spiritual core, but also in a more practical sense, utilizing it through art is going to be, like I already said, your saving grace and really, really, really helpful. And this can be the classic art, like painting, music, writing a book, writing anything, writing it out. But this can also be your own redefined understanding of what art is for you, what it means to you to be a creative human being. Because our creativity is fueled through our spiritual understanding, our spiritual connection. So when you bring your spiritual essence together with your creative power, your creation power, that's when true art is created. And I think it's a beautiful time now to really utilize this. Also, it will help you stay grounded. Make things more tangible. If you find a creative outlet to utilize this, like, I don't want to call it weird energy, but it can feel really weird and really blurry and unclear. You know, one moment you think, oh, I understand, it's all clear, I know exactly what I want, where I want to go. And the next moment is like, wait a minute, what's going on? Where am I? So just, again, in order to get through that time, the connection to your creation power, to being creative, using your intuition, right? Neptune is also intuition. Using that and bringing it forth, making something tangible, will tremendously help you. Now let's get going. I termed the first point here that I wanted to make the spiritual warrior. For me, this sums up Neptune in Aries, right? Aries is the warrior, the strong leader that doesn't overthink it. It just go. We gotta do what we gotta do. You've got to do what you've got to do, and we go. And when it comes together with the Neptunian energy, it gives it like a spiritual component. And I say spiritual, I'm not saying religious. Even though I can see this being used in that way. Religious wars, I mean, we've seen religious wars ongoing in history, right? That is not something that just happens when Neptune moves into Aries. It's going on in the Middle East, and not just in the Middle East, of course, but there is a focus point there right now. And I think this is going to be intensified, particularly this year, I believe. That ingress, also once Saturn moves in there, that's just going to be, I don't want to say explosive, but it can be explosive. Again, we're talking about Aries, the most intense fire energy there is, right? It's just, it doesn't take much with Aries to blow up. And this is not about fear-mongering. This is just about purely understanding the energies. Neptune in itself dissolves, right? It dissolves everything it touches, and it dissolves it in a way where now we can't see the line, the clear line between this and that. Also the line between quote unquote good and evil, right, are going to be blurred much more. You know, understanding who has good intentions and who doesn't is going to be much more difficult. But then on the other end of the spectrum, because remember there's always a spectrum on the other end of the spectrum, some people will wake up to their intuition, seeing things that they haven't seen before and gain a new understanding. Discernment is even more important now for all of us, and not just on a global collective level, but really also in your life. That you have that discernment in everything you do. Doesn't mean that you can't act quickly, but you got to bring discernment into it. The other thing is expect activism to take on another level. There is going to be a rise in activism, but also a rise in, I think, healers, possibly also charlatans, right? Like that comes with it. Like people that pose as healers. Again, use discernment. I think this is going to be the word that I will use with this ingress of Neptune into Aries the most. You gotta bring your discernment. Then point number 2 I want to make is the melting of identities, and then also like some sort of rebirth, right? This is Aries. This is the first sign of the zodiac. There's a new beginning. Aries rules selfhood, independence, but also the ego. Neptune dissolves the boundaries of that. Like, where do I end? Where does the other begin? That may not be as clear anymore. The question, what does it mean to be an individual? Might be a question that is going to be asked in the collective. Where do personal desires end and collective needs begin? Or vice versa. I can also see a identity crisis here that runs deep in the collective, and it comes from the individual identity crisis, where we are not sure anymore what is right, what is wrong. Am I, masculine, feminine energies? There's going to be the dissolving of it, particularly with masculine energy, because Aries is the epitome of masculine energy. With Neptune in Pisces, we went through like a dissolving of feminine energy, but then also a re-emerging of the divine feminine energy. I don't know if you've noticed that. The beginning of Neptune in Pisces was the height of boss babe central, right? Boss babe, I can do everything myself. I do things on my own. I do this, I do that. The end of Neptune in Pisces, the rise of like feminine energy, black cat energy. You could see the whole range of like, we went through this re-emergence, a new understanding of what does it mean to be in my feminine as a woman? And also, how do I balance it with my masculine energy? There's going to be a redefining of selfhood. What does it mean, selfhood? What does independence mean for me? And I think this time we're gonna look at it more from the masculine perspective. Now, third point is all about initiating dreams and chasing illusions. Neptune inspires our visions, our dreams, but Aries wants immediate action and the tendency without checking if those dreams are grounded in something. So the things to look out for here are the burnout from chasing dreams that have no foundation. I don't want to call them unrealistic because I don't really like that word. It is more like, is your dream founded in something? Can it hold? Have you locked it in? And by locked in, I mean, is it locked in you, in your grounded energy, in your self-love, in your belief in yourself? Is it rooted in a trust? Is it grounded in your masculine and feminine energy? Or is it flip-floppy? To live a full life and a fulfilled life, we need both. We need to be grounded here on planet Earth, in this world, in this what we call the reality, but we also need to allow ourselves to pull from the other side, because we become too harsh and rigid if we are just on this side, and we become ungrounded if we're just on this side. Aries is very instinctual, right? But if that instinct is not fully rooted, it's like a wildfire. We might, or Neptune, the Neptune energy might want to dissolve the outdated structures, but we got to make sure that what comes in isn't worse or isn't a deception. It's a time of impulsive action, where we just take action without seeing clearly, because we take action because we have idealistic dreams and ideas of how things should look like, and those could come from, I'm not saying they necessarily come from a bad place. They can come from this place of deep compassion and empathy, but they can also come from a deceptive place, and we have to discern. Now let's talk about the signs. We're starting with Aries rising. For you, this is a big moment because Neptune is moving into your first house, the house of identity. Neptune in the first house can blur the lines of where do I end and where does the other begin. This can bring an identity crisis. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, right? Like this is a big moment of who am I? Who have I lived as? Who was that person that I've been so far? Like really questioning the questioning self and questioning where self wants to go. Remember, the first house is also the direction, right? It's direction in life. Me coming up and going. But where do I want to go? That might be a big question that you will take through the next 15, 16 years. This is not something that will just come up and then disappear. You work through it, disappear. It's a continuous process where you go and remove layers and layers of conditioning and redefining the self. And I think that it doesn't have to be a scary thing, right? It's beautiful, like uncovering more of who you are, things that you might have not even thought possible might be possible now, because also Neptune in the first house is all the possibilities. And on one end of the spectrum that can make you feel like you can't see the forest for the trees, but on the other end of the spectrum, it makes you see possibilities that you couldn't see before, and you can tap into them. And because of your fiery nature, the courage to run with it is given, is there. It's in your nature. So that it's really, really beautiful. I think it's a beautiful transit. I mean, you will have Saturn come in here in a minute later this year. And that will define things a little more. I think it will help you to actually take those wishy-washy ideas and make them real. It can, of course, also make things a little harder, but we'll talk about this in the Saturn and Aries video. But generally, I think it's a beautiful time of like learning to redefine yourself and your identity and moving forward with a lot of newfound passion, and that spiritual warrior spirit is strong. You might even tap into your own spirituality on a much deeper level now. I mean, you just had it in your 12th house, the house of spirituality. So I think that touch point, you reconnecting with your spiritual essence was there. And now you're asked to run with it, quite literally. Now, Taurus rising, for you, this energy falls into the 12th house, the house of spirituality. So what I can see here for you is you starting to take your spiritual essence seriously. Maybe you might start taking your meditation routine much more serious, your yoga routine much more serious. You might tap into your spiritual essence in a way where you now want to lead in this area. Maybe you're gonna start a yoga teacher training or a meditation training, something in that field. And if you're not doing it on a professional level, you might incorporate it in your life much more, and you might see that it actually feeds everything. Also, I think art would be a way for you to express that spirituality and taking it to a next level. But I think the biggest shift here is you being much bolder in approaching your spirituality, but then also walking the talk, right? Like going for it, doing. Like the doing part is probably going to be much more activated. It's still the 12th house, so it's still a very private area that don't many people see, but I think it will shine through more. Like people will notice it more. They will notice you being more quote unquote spiritual, but again, this could also mean you being more artistic, like your art. You might show that through your art, any, music, painting, any art form really. You reconnecting and connecting with that art form on that very deep level might also help you to feel more fulfilled, like deeply fulfilled. Then Gemini rising for you, I think this is all about reconnecting with your community, and also maybe possibly through that community you are going to find the strength and the courage to show up and show your spiritual essence. This can come through art, right? You making your art public, sharing it with a collective, with a community, and through that you may rise. This could also be online, having a community that you share things with, that inspires you to tap into your creative essence, your creative juices, and bring them forth. It doesn't have to be an online thing. It could also be you just in your collective, your friendship circle. Maybe you reconnect with friends, or you find new friends that inspire you to create art again. Feed the collective with it. You might inspire others, but first you're inspired through others, right? There is this connecting point, right? This beautiful dance that you dance with your community. So I think this is going to be a highly creative time for you. Also remember, the 11th house reflects the 5th house, which is the house of creativity. So it's like bringing your creativity to the masses. This is your moment. Then Cancer rising for you, I think this is all about spiritual leadership, quite literally, like spiritual leadership, because this is your 10th house, the house of purpose, your purpose work, tapping into your spiritual essence and let it shine through in your work. And this can be obviously a creative pursuit, but it doesn't have to be. If you're a lawyer or if you are a doctor, you might lead with even more compassion in this area. People may flock to you. You might show up with courage and confidence, and that will then also affect your charisma and the people that are drawn to you, that want to look up to you, that learn from you, that are inspired by you through your strength and your like I said, spiritual leadership. I think it's a beautiful time. It might not always be easy because, again, the lines might be blurred a little and we are not sure what is, things are not going to be so clear. And even if we have a plan, it's just like we might be much more confused, or you might be much more confused about your plan of your future. But I think the idea here is to trust that internal guidance much more, right? Not listening, particularly for you, not listening so much to what others tell you to do or what they think is right for you or what is not right for you. This is really about you stepping into your power and leading with compassion from that heart center. But also from the 3rd chakra, that courage. We take bold action, even if others don't necessarily agree with you. Then Leo rising for you, this is a 9th house transit. Now, this is very interesting because I think this could be a new beginning for you in another place, another country, somewhere foreign, somewhere you didn't really see yourself before. This could also be you in a leadership role in politics, but also in religion. I know I said earlier this is about spirituality, not religion, but for you we're talking about the 9th house, which holds religion, right? So your understanding of religion might evolve even. you know, your religious beliefs might evolve. Your belief system in general, like philosophy, it's a huge topic here as well, where you gain a new understanding of the world. Also, your vision for your future might completely change, leading a more spiritually aligned life. And by spiritually aligned, I really mean aligned with your true core essence. So you got to be honest with yourself here, you know? Make sure that you don't dilute yourself with wishful thinking and what you want to be true. You will always know. We always know what is true for us, what's truly true for us, because we'll feel at peace. And true peace, not just this feeling of, thank God, but peace. Then last one for today, Virgo rising. I think for you, this is going to be a very interesting time, because we are talking about the house of transformation. You're going to go through a transformation. I think you're going to go through the transformation of your lifetime, quite literally, because we're talking about the 8th house. There is no place where you can go deeper and where you can be transformed more. And remember, Saturn is coming in here as well. I think everything that happened up until here was just preparation to do the really deep work now. I mean, it's not that we haven't had deep work to do. We have. We did a lot of deep relationship work in the last 15, 16 years, like deep relationship work. But it was still more surface level. I think now we are going to go all the way. A newfound understanding of intimacy, a newfound understanding of shared resources, a newfound understanding of money, re-evaluation of our values, re-evaluation of like money, because money, it's a money house, right? We cannot forget that. It reflects the 2nd house. The 2nd house is personal finances, but the 8th house is the shared resources, right? We have inheritance here. We have money coming in and out, our partner's money, other people's money are going to be a huge theme. And with Neptune here, there are these huge possibilities, right? Like literally everything is possible. Right? This Neptune in the 8th house says, okay, it's a bottomless pit, basically. And how far are you willing to go? How bold are you when it comes to doing the inner work, the deeper work? How courageous are you to do the deeper work, the inner work, to then bring up the jewels? Because this is a time where you can find the most beautiful shiny diamonds, but they will be inside of you. You will not find them out there. You'll have to find it within you first, and then it will come to you, right? You bring up that diamond within, and then you sparkle so strongly, magnetizing everything towards you, right? Once you bring up that jewel or these jewels, you will shine so brightly. It's impossible not to see you, and it's impossible for people not to want to be around you. You're just going to draw everything and everyone in, but only if you are courageous and bold and do your inner work. So with that, I'm going to love you and leave you. If you have any questions about this intense transit, this intense shift that we all go through in the coming, months, let me know, and I'm happy to answer. And then we will speak again on Thursday. Bye, my loves.